greet warmly Dr. Ron Daniels.
Let me move quickly to say that it's an honor to be here today, and I come at the request of my leader, the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, who is my teacher. He is my mentor, and he is my friend. It's always an honor to be here, and we should never take for granted what this great citadel, what I call a great citadel of resistance, justice, and transformation. That's what this edifice stands for. It's not just a building. This is sacred ground, consecrated by the struggles of generations of people led by this great leader, the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. In the interest of time, let me move briefly. I want to address 4 issues. The first of those issues is indeed reparations. And let me just say that I'm delighted that our new president, Reverend Frederick Douglass Haynes, is very much in tune with the vision of Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson on this issue. I'm here because I just have visited Evanston, Illinois. Some of you know that Evanston, Illinois, under the leadership of Robin Ruth Simmons, is actually doing reparations. Reparations is an issue whose time has come. I've worked on this issue all of my life, and there were many of us who never thought we would be at this moment. But reparations is on fire. Reparations is occurring in California. The state of New York is about to pass a commission bill. It is exploding all over the world because the wrongs that have been inflicted across these generations by colonialism, racism, and apartheid are being called to question, are being called for reckoning and redress. And so it's happening. I want to praise Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who is leading the charge on H.R. 40. H.R. 40 is the bill that will develop a commission to study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans. She is likely to be the next mayor of Houston, Texas, the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee. And so what we want to say is that we take up really the cry that Reverend Frederick Douglass Haynes, as we met at the White House a few weeks ago. He said that President Biden has said that he wants to redeem the soul of America. And Reverend Frederick Douglass Haynes said there can be no redemption without reparations. No redemption without reparations. And that is the case. And we're on the verge, really, very close to getting a bill, not a bill passed, but we need an executive order. Those of you who know the structure of the American paralysis of chaos knows that even if we pass it in the House of Representatives, and we can't, it would not get through the Senate. So therefore, we need President Biden to enact this by executive order. That's what we need. And we need that to happen urgently. And it can be his Emancipation Proclamation moment. It can be his Emancipation Proclamation moment. And he owes us that. This is not a favor. No one's asking for charity. He said he would have our back. We've always had the back, not only of Biden, we have had the back of the Democratic Party. And so it's time for them to address one of America's original sins. And I say one of them because the other sin is, of course, the dispossession of Native Americans. So we say in the name of Callie House, in the name of Queen Mother Moore, in the name of Dr. Conrad Worrell, in the name of Reparations Ray Jenkins and Congressman John Conyers, we say to Biden, pass the H.R. 40 commission created by executive order. Secondly, I want to quickly talk about Haiti. Haiti is in crisis. Haiti is the first black republic in the world. And it's been punished ever since. I mean, one of these days you're coming back and I'll be able to stretch out on this. I only have a limited amount of time now. Suffice it to say that Haiti is in a profound crisis, largely made by the intrusion of the United States government in the affairs of Haiti, but also Canada and France, crippling and denying the people of Haiti the right in order to move forward. So as they suffer through this crisis now, and I am literally working on the resolution. I had a conversation yesterday with Congressman Gregory Meeks. He is the most powerful black man in America when it comes to foreign policy. Congressman Gregory Meeks, who is the ranking member of the House Foreign Service Committee. And we know there's a group called the Montana Accord Group. They are organizing the people on the ground to create the possibilities of resolving the crisis. But the gangs have taken over. It's almost a dysfunctional government. We need the United States government to be in alignment with this movement. So we are going to bring leaders from Haiti, because Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson has been on this issue for decades. I was in a meeting recently, and I want to thank publicly Congressman Jonathan Jackson, because we were in Washington, D.C. He came to the symposium he held, and a woman got up from Miami. Her name is Martine Bastion, Reverend Jackson, and she thanks you. She remembered when they had the dry foot, wet foot practice, and Cubans were being allowed, Haitians were not. You were there. And they remember that, and they thank you profoundly for your leadership and for in terms of helping the Haitian people. So what we're proposing to do, we're proposing to bring leaders from Haiti right here to this citadel of resistance to meet with you, Reverend Jackson, so that we can in fact put pressure on the U.S. government to be in alignment. So look forward to this. We're going to bring a huge delegation right here to the Rainbow Push family and the Rainbow Push Coalition. Quickly, let me move on to say I've just gotten back from Grenada. Many of you may recall, and some of you are too young to recall, 40 years ago, under the Reagan administration, they invaded Haiti. There was an implosion of leadership there. One of the great leaders of that era, Maurice Bishop, was assassinated, brutally assassinated. It was a terrible thing that happened. And then the U.S. government invaded. They were fearful. They said that Grenada would become the English-speaking version of Cuba. Well, I could think of a hell of a lot better things than worse things than it being a version of Cuba, because Cuba has done remarkable things to liberate people all over the world. And so one of the things that happened there, and I just got back, and we had a commemoration, and there's some healing taking place and all of that. But one of the things that they did is they desecrated the bodies of Maurice Bishop and the 19 others who were assassinated. They defiled them, and they may have even incinerated them. So 40 years later, the family, they don't know what happened. There's been no closure. And so, Reverend Jackson, we are demanding that the United States government come forward and say what happened with those bodies, and to make an apology for having done what they've done. We are demanding that there be justice for the people of Grenada. And then finally, I cannot leave without talking about what's happening in the Arab-Israeli conflict. And I say that proudly because one of the reasons why I can stand here with my head up high on this issue is because Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, for years, going back almost 50 years ago, has been on this question, talking about the equality in relationship to foreign policy. That you have equality. You can't have imbalance. You can't be for all one and not for the other. He's one of the great negotiators that we've ever seen in terms of solving crisis. It was Reverend Jackson, when people were afraid to do so, who gave the Palestinians a place at the table, because he knew that they needed to have someone, the voiceless needed to have a voice. What you have in Palestine right now is a David versus Goliath syndrome. You have in Israel, and Israel has a right to exist. Let's be clear about that. Israel has a right to exist. Jews have a right to live in peace, but so do the Palestinians have a similar right. And two evils do not make a right. What Hamas did, let us be clear, was savage and barbaric. It is to be condemned. But on the other hand, you cannot therefore have retaliation in which now almost 10,000 civilians have been killed, 3,200 of which are children. It is a violation of international law to cut off water, food, medicine, and milk. You cannot do that. And so we have to raise our voices to say that we need a ceasefire in the Middle East. We need peace in the Middle East. And the most important thing I want to say, whether it be Hamas, whether it be Fatah, whatever it is, we need a non-violent resolution. Let me say that again, a non-violent resolution. We need the Palestinian people to rise up, not with their guns, not with their bullets, not with their rockets. We need them to rise up in the name of Gandhi, rise up in the name of King, rise up in the name of the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson to launch a nonviolent campaign of resistance. The same kind of campaign that we launched in terms of freeing South Africa. That's what will bring freedom to the Palestinians. But at the end of the day, as Reverend Jesse Jackson has said over and over and over again, there will never, ever be peace in the Middle East until the Palestinians have a homeland. And we as black people, we are people of good conscience. We in the rainbow have to stand tall. It's a difficult struggle, but we have to stand tall on that proposition. So Reverend Jesse Jackson, I say as I conclude, that you've been an incredible leader and you still remain so. And what you've done more than anything else, and you continue to do so now, is to keep hope alive. To keep hope alive. To keep hope alive. Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson, keep hope alive.